Hello friends, I hope you all are well. Today we are going to test the camera power of Huawei Y8p. If you want to buy this phone and you want to know about the camera first, this video might be helpful. This device was launched recently along with Huawei Y6p and Y7p, but this phone Y8p is the highest among them. It features a triple camera setup on its backside that includes a 48 megapixel lens which shoots 12 megapixel shots by default. There is also an 8 megapixel lens for wide angle shots and a 2 megapixel lens for the bokeh shots. For selfies, this phone comes with a 16 megapixel lens on the front. As far as the camera app is concerned, it is a usual Huawei design. In order to avoid blur shots at night, there is an AIS handheld night mode that helps for stable night pictures, and also Huawei says that this camera can grab more light in the dark with the help of its super spectrum sensor. So that means this camera should handle a few minor jerks when you take the night shots. This building seems to be my favorite as I have used it so many times during my camera reviews, but actually it offers so many things at one place, so that is why I usually come here for test phone cameras. So starting with the day images, Huawei Y8p can click very nice pictures in the daylight. The colors of this building look natural with no extra enhancement, and the amount of detail is also very impressive from all sides. Although I can notice some small washed out spots on the edges, but that is okay. You can either keep this AI mode on or off, but there is no major difference in the result at the end of the day. Look at these two images. The right one is coming from the AI mode and the left one is without AI. From here the difference seems negligible, but if you pixel peep the image, you will notice a few washed out areas on AI based image that are not visible in the image without AI. I think the AI on this phone seemed to address the noisy parts, but in doing so, it took away some minor details. But I think it doesn't seem to be a huge problem, and there seems to be no major difference between the two images on smaller screens. So you can use either of them easily, but in some cases AI will produce more vivid colors. So it's up to you whichever mode you are preferring. Guys, the HDR mode always helps me on most of the phones to tackle the whiter and darker areas, and also it easily handles the light around the sun. But here you can see no difference between the images taken with HDR or without HDR. Check out the next images as well. So if you think the HDR mode isn't working well for you, try the Pro mode that works great in such situations, especially at sunset and sunrise. By the way, the Pro mode can also shoot 48 megapixel images, which is a good thing. Now comes the wide angle lens that can produce some punchy colors on Huawei Y8p, but sometimes in doing so, it goes to an extent that it changes the color definition of the subject. Look at the color of the building that has been changed altogether. And of course, being an 8 megapixel lens, it grabs lesser detail and the image looks too noisy when you look at it closely. I think the grainy images from the wide angle is a common problem with almost every mid-range phone today. And now let's check the high-res image that will give us a 48 megapixel shot. We have this 48 megapixel on the right side, and from here we don't see a major difference. But the 48 megapixel shot looks a little more vibrant, and also the exposure is a little higher as well. But a closer look reveals that 48 megapixel image is 2 or 3 times bigger with better detail level. This text was not readable on the 12 megapixel image, but on 48 megapixel it is almost 50% better and bigger in size. And don't forget that 48 megapixel image will also reveal too much noise if you look at it on a bigger screen. But for smaller screens like mobile phones and even the tablets, you're not going to see these grains. The 2x images on this phone are softer and the color reproduction is different from the original 12 megapixel image. Upon zooming in further, you can find out the loss of details with 2x. So I think it's better to shoot with the high-res mode and crop your image later as per your need, rather than using 2x, 4x or 6x, which are going to destroy the whole thing. The aperture mode performs really nicely on Huawei Y8p. It produces a very smooth bokeh effect. The images look softer but rich in colors, although you may find a little blurriness on the edges of the subject, but that doesn't look odd. If you don't want to use the aperture mode, you can also try shooting with the 12 megapixel or high-res mode for getting the bokeh in a close-up shot. But the blur background would not be as deep as you would get with the aperture mode, because the aperture gives you a better control to change the intensity of the bokeh. Look at this high-res mode image on the right side, which is showing a very sharp subject mapping, and the detail are also much higher than what aperture mode produces. But again, it is up to you. If you want more detailed subject and don't care about the bokeh, You can use the high-res mode as well in this situation. Look at this flower. I was able to shoot this insect that was looking for some food, I believe. The aperture mode was able to capture it very nicely. And here you can also notice the pattern on this leaf that I came across on the track in a park. Similarly, the portrait mode is also giving us a very good result on this camera. I see this gentleman almost every day because he is the gardener in the park near my house. He's a very hard-working guy, which is also visible from this picture. Look at the skin tone, which looks good to me, and the facial details are very nice. There looks no extra artificial treatment that I don't really like. But yes, there is a beauty mode available that can do these wonders for you. I think overall the portrait mode produces good images. Now coming to the night mode, which I am very curious about. It was a full moon and I tried to shoot it and the tree from my house, and there was no other light around in my terrace. You can see what kind of image the default mode can give you. But with the night mode, you can also get a sharper looking image, having lesser noise, and the moon also seems much different in look. The night mode seems to be a performer as far as the detail and colors reproductions are concerned. Of course, you will get to see the noise on the images, and I think the level of noise will also depend upon the environment and the ambient light. Once again, we notice that the default 12 megapixel mode, either AI or HDR, struggle with the light source. But when we compare it with the night mode, the results are miles apart. The night mode image has more detail, it looks sharper and colorful. Yes, I can see the noise too. Check out another image. The default mode has completely blown out the neon sign, but on the other hand, the night mode is dealing with it nicely. Well, you can also see these unwanted artifacts that night mode is generating around this neon sign. This is an unwanted stuff, so this could be a problem when you shoot the neon sign on top of the building using the night mode. This phone can shoot up to 1080p videos from the rear and the front camera at 30 frames per second. The details are good, and just like the still images, color reproduction is nice and accurate. Unfortunately, there seems to be no stabilization on this phone, which is a must thing today for the mid-range devices. Now let's have a look at the SloMo video. Y8p can shoot SloMo videos at 120 frames per second and 480 frames per second, but the latter only allows a 10-second shot. Huawei has also added this feature that allows to turn off and turn on the motion detection, which I think is quite helpful in many cases when the phone fails to detect a motion but you want to shoot it anyway. So by turning off this feature, you can shoot a moving object that phone can detect. So this is the camera review of Huawei Y8p, guys. In my opinion, it is a very capable camera without many complaints in this price range. It can shoot really nice and detailed images in the day. The bokeh effect is also great and the portraits are impressive. I'm not very happy with the details of selfie, but they are okay. I really wish that Huawei Y8p had a video stabilization feature. I really miss it. Especially the vloggers need to have it on their phones. In short, there are less compromises than the good things. So guys, let's end this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and do share your opinion in the comment area. Until my next video, Allah Hafiz.